Welcome friends, I am Dr. Shashank Shekhar. I am a faculty at Material Science Engineering Department at IIT Kanpur. So, I will be teaching this course on fundamentals of materials processing. This course we have divided in two parts. In the first part we will be dealing with the solidification and powder metallurgy, and in the second part we will be dealing with metalworking and thin film deposition. So, let us try to understand what we are going to work on here. What is this course about? So, as the name suggests, this course is fundamentals of material processing, meaning we want to look at what are the commonalities, what are the principles behind each of the various kinds of manufacturing processes that we see around us, and try to understand the science and technology of those methods. For example, let us look at solidification. Now, we know so many different kinds of solidification processes like sand mold casting, we know permanent mold casting, we know investment casting, but there is some common science behind it. For example, the heat flow equations remains the same, only there will be the limitations or the boundary conditions change. So, that is what we need to understand and see how those equations can still be applied, and we can get to understand the different processes and the different outcomes that these lead to. Another important aspect in solidification is the solute distribution. Again, the solute distribution would depend upon what particular process that we are using. So, again we will look at how these solute distribution changes from one process to another. So, these are some of the fundamentals of solidification which remain the same, although the processes may be different. Now, similarly, if we look at metalworking, in most of the metalworking processes that we know of, for example, rolling, forging, extrusion, or even machining, they are imposing some amount of deformation in the material. So, the deformation variables are the same: strain, strain rate and temperature. Now, how are they leading to different processes, and how are they causing different kinds of properties to the material, or why do we need all these different processes? So, we will try to understand stress and strain that is imposed, what are the equations, how do they change with different processes, what is the plasticity and yield criteria. In continuation of this, we will also be looking at microstructural evolution that takes place during the deformation processes, and you will be, as a student, you would be able to see how different understanding that you have had from different courses. For example, recovery recrystallization or phase transformation or phase stability, how all those things come together, and you will be able to get understanding in one final outcome that these courses are meant for, which is material processing. Similarly, we will be dealing with other two modules, which are powder metallurgy and thin film deposition. In powder metallurgy, we know that there are different steps. For example, first you have powder compaction, then you have sintering, and then you have the final, if there is any net final removal of the material. So, whatever material we are dealing with, whether it is ceramics or metals or a mixture of these, the science behind these will remain same. So, we will look at those science, that is the purpose of this course is to look at this science behind this. And lastly, in the thin film deposition, again we will be looking at mainly two different kinds of processes, which is PVD, which is the physical vapor deposition, and CVD, which is the chemical vapor deposition, and we will look at the science and science involved behind all these processes. So, that is this course about. Thanks.